Issue 1, an effort to change the state's political map-making system.
That's right. If it had passed, politicians would have been removed from the map-making process and instead replaced with a panel of regular citizens. That's not going to happen, though. It goes down tonight, and the way the districts are drawn up remains the same. So the no vote winning it easily.
This was not a close call. This was an overwhelming rejection to out-of-state interest who overfunded us by 7-1. $42 million spent on the yes side, $7 or $8 million spent on the no side. This is a stunning rejection.
Also tonight, the big presidential race, of course, and right now Trump is leading Harris in the electoral map. If the Trump-Vance ticket wins the White House tonight, Ohio Senator J.D. Vance will have the new title now of vice president.
If that happens, and he's living here in downtown Cincinnati, plenty of people who live in and around Vance's hometown of Middletown are hoping that's what happens. And WLWT News 5's Todd Dykes live at a watch party out there in Butler County where the Republicans are hanging out. And Todd, how are people feeling out there right now?
Yeah, Mike and Tree, there's been a lot of energy, positive energy here at Lurie's Roadhouse in Westchester. Obviously, things quieting down at this late hour, but boy, things really ramped up when former President Trump and J.D. Vance were announced that they had won Ohio's 17 electoral college votes. Take a listen. Yeah, that was the reaction just a few hours ago. This has been a special election cycle for members of Butler County's GOP. That's because Vice Presidential nominee J.D. Vance grew up in Middletown. Local Republicans hope the 40-year-old former Marine's political ascendancy continues and he becomes VP. Dozens of Trump-Vance supporters watched the early returns together tonight while also enjoying lively music and watching people practice line dancing. The fact that results in key swing states came in slowly, that didn't really come as a big surprise to one veteran election observer, Michael McNamara, who hopes, like everyone else who was here tonight, that J.D. Vance is the next vice president of the United States.
J.D. Vance is one of those people that really embodies the American dream. I think the people in Butler County love the fact that he comes from here because he brought himself up from Middletown, Ohio, a Midwest city, that blue-collar city, and now he's a senator, could be vice president of the United States. What an incredible story that we would all love to have.
Now, organizers of tonight's event called it an election night celebration, but as the clock approaches the midnight hour now, the handful of folks still here at Lurie's Roadhouse, they're hoping what everyone else hopes at this point, to know definitively who will take the White House heading into the coming days and weeks. Will all have to wait and see. For now, reporting live here in Butler County, Todd Dykes, WLWT News 5.
All right, Todd, thanks so much. And our coverage now continues with more results for you. Hamilton County Sheriff up next. Current Sheriff Charmaine McGuffey running as a Democrat. She was trying to take down her old boss, the Republican, former Sheriff Jim Neal.
Yeah, and it appears she's going to keep her job easily as we give you a look at the numbers right now with 98% of the votes in, and she's winning by about 12 percentage points right now. Lindsay Stone live tonight from Over the Rhine with more. Hi, Lindsay.
Hi to you both. Yeah, again, this race has not officially been called, but McGuffey feeling very confident about securing this win. Just moments ago, she thanked her team here, her campaign manager, and was cheering, celebrating with many here tonight as they chanted 4 more years. Now, as you know, this has been a very highly contested sheriff's race. As Mike mentioned, she was going up against her former boss, a man who once fired her, Jim Neal. Let's dive into this race here. This, again, has been a very contested race. The two go way back, all the way to Western Hills High School. They both went to UC. They started working for the Hamilton County Sheriff's Office just years apart. And when Neal was sheriff, he actually fired McGuffey. She sued, and Hamilton County settled a lawsuit. Now, just moments ago, McGuffey celebrating again with her team, and we were the first station to speak with her after she was able to celebrate. Take a listen to what she had to say about the next 4 years.
I delivered on every promise I made in the last term, and I intend in this next term to focus on mental illness and recovery. I intend to focus on data and the collection of that data. I intend to focus on safety, continued safety and reduction in gun violence in this county and the crime against kids and things like that when gun violence occurs.
And moments ago, I spoke to the campaign manager for Jim Neal. He provided this statement to us, reading in part, "I truly do hope they lead with the dedication and integrity that our community deserves. While this campaign may have come to an end, my commitment to the people of Hamilton County has not." Again, Neal conceding in this race. And meanwhile, I asked McGuffey, what's next? What happens tonight? She said, "I'm going to get a good night's sleep, and then it's back to work in the morning." Reporting live here from OTR, Lindsay Stone, WLWT News 5.
All right, Lindsay, thanks so much. A history-making battle when it comes to Hamilton County prosecutor. The winner in this race would be the first woman ever elected to that office. You see the Republican, Melissa Powers on the right, Connie Pillich, the Democrat on the left. Nearly all of the votes are in, and Connie Pillich has a nice, comfortable 8,000 vote lead. It has not been called, but not looking good for Melissa Powers.
WLWT News 5's Karen Johnson live for us at the Hamilton County GOP watch party tonight. And Karen, what's the reaction there tonight? Are they surprised?
Yeah, you know, Cherie, I have to tell you, I was at the GOP party earlier tonight. We moved to Over the Rhine, where the Democrats are, and I spoke with Connie Pillich just a short time ago. She tells me there's just been a roller coaster of emotions tonight. When I was speaking to her, there were people surrounding her, cheering, as this is the first time in 92 years that there will be a Democrat in office in the Hamilton County Prosecutor's Office. She is also the first female ever elected into this office. As you may remember, Melissa Powers, who is the incumbent in this case, she was put in office after Joe Deters left for the Ohio Supreme Court. Now, speaking to Pillich just a short time ago, she says the first thing she will do is create an ethics board once she gets into office. Take a listen to a little bit of what she told me just a short time ago.
Every election is can subject you to a lot of emotions, and tonight was certainly a roller coaster, but I'm really, really proud of the campaign we ran, and proud of all my friends and supporters, my canvassers, the people who did poll work, the people who supported me. All of this is coming to a culmination right now, so it's pretty exciting.
And Cherie, you had mentioned me being at the GOP party before this, and while I was there, I was speaking to the folks there, and they had concerns that there's now a monopoly in the county. All of the elected officials are Democrats. They said they were concerned about crimes in the neighborhoods, and I asked Pillich about that, and she said, you know, the one thing that she says, there's going to be justice in the county. She's going to pledge to deliver justice with integrity to keep people safe. I also asked her about the office. You know, there are people who are concerned about their jobs now that there will be a change in leadership. And she says, you know what, I don't care who you voted for. I don't care who you campaigned for. All I care is that you will be a good lawyer. Reporting live tonight in Over the Rhine, Karen Johnson, WLWT News 5.
All right, Karen, thanks so much. Look, Melissa Powers' campaign was concerned from the very beginning with this race. As Karen was saying, Hamilton County has gone blue. Joe Deters, who had such his name was so recognizable, he almost lost that race, only won it by 6 points 4 years ago.
So Hamilton County blue, Cincinnati, all of the city council members are now Democrats. We're going to take a quick time out. On the other side, we'll bring in Kevin Robinson to chat about the overnight weather.